Hello, everybody, and welcome to let me turn this music down a little bit here. Another episode of Online Mafia with Iateyourpie. And today, we've got a pretty huge video. I don't know if it's going to be huge in length, but it's a huge video, I think, for new players to watch. Today, we're going to be talking about something called power rules. And power rules are huge. They're huge. They're ginormous. They're so big. But no, in all honesty, power rules are something that are in almost any type of Mafia setup. Whether it's like just you're sitting around with friends playing Mafia and you have a cop and a doctor, those are power rules. When our 25-man setups, we have a lot of power rules. And power rules are something that can be a great asset to town. And they can also be a huge hindrance to town. And I think a lot of times, especially if you're a new player and you see you get a power roll, it can be very intimidating. It can also give you the wrong impression. You think, oh, you get a power roll, I better be on my game, because if I'm on my game, we'll win for sure. There's no way we can lose if I'm killing it on power rolls. And it can also be one of those things where it kind of goes to your head. With great power comes great responsibility. And in today's video, I kind of want to break that down. It's going to be kind of a two halves video. The first half is going to be kind of me going over notes, different things, kind of playing around in a lobby, making stuff. The second half is going to be an actual game that happened a couple days ago. I'm uploading the game to YouTube, actually, in completion. Under the video, the title is going to be How to Play Suspect Mine. I got the Suspect Mine role. I played it pretty well. And I'll touch on some of those things in this video, but there's a lot of other situations that happen with power rolls in this exact game that were like just a great opportunity to kind of talk about claiming and different things like that. So the lesson is going to be in the first half. I'm going to go over the rules, and then you're going to see it happen live through this second game, and I'll break it down a little bit. In this one, the entire game, I'll probably link it in the YouTube video as well, will be on my YouTube channel as well, so you can kind of watch it. But yeah, so let's jump in. And first off, let's tackle the question. What is a power roll? All right. And a power roll is pretty simple. It is a roll that has power. I know, crazy. And there are power rolls on both sides. You'll notice here we have these reds. There's some power rolls here. And on blues, we've got some power rolls, right? Now, power rolls come in all shapes and sizes. Some are more important than others. Some are just have small little powers, but the small little powers, differentiate themselves from a normal villager. Some have powers that are used one time and then they essentially become normal villagers. One of the most important things that you need to know about almost every single power roll, and this is what we'll be talking about a lot, is they can be claimed. Claiming is basically stating in the chat, let's say we were in this game, right? We're in the lobby right now, but I'm Iateyourpie and I'm saying, hey guys, cop here. These are my reports. And I'm going to say night 1 was Slippy, blue. Night 2 Fox was blue. Night 3 Falco, red, right? What I just did there was I made a claim. So again, essentially all power rolls for the most part, not all for the most part, I know that contradicts itself, but most power rolls can be claimed by the player. So we'll go over a couple quick ones, just some just typical ones. Cop, right? That one's probably one of the most popular one. If you watch the Summit Mafia games, they have a cop, right? Cop investigates somebody at night, and they find out, are they red or are they blue? You've got different variations of the doctor. If they're protecting somebody at night, they can't die. In our setups, we use bodyguard. Bodyguard gets basically 2 protects. The first one kills a Mafia when they try to attack it. The second one, they take the bullet for the other person and die. Some other common ones that we don't really use in our setup is the Vigilante. It is a town-sided killing role that can kill somebody at night each time, and the Vigilante can kill a Mafia or can kill a town. Some other different ones that we like to use in ours. Oracle is another kind of popular one. When the Oracle dies, they reveal the true alignment of one of the members of town. So, for example, let's say they were on the Godfather at night. The Oracle, when they would die, would say, X person is revealed to be Godfather. So a very strong role. I think one of the most underrated roles is Oracle. Like a very good Oracle can win the game because not only can they push bad mafia during the day. They can have a secret mafia that they really are hard on, but they never reveal it, that they show up at night. So very strong role. Governor is one you see a lot in our games. At the end of the day, if there's a vote the governor doesn't like, he can overrule it and lynch somebody else. We've seen a lot of games where people were a little bit jumpy on governor and hurt us. And then suspect mine, which I think is kind of important to talk about because it'll be featured in this video, is a role that is pretty unique to Mafia GG. I don't think there's ever been anything like it, at least I've seen on different sites. But the suspect mine gets a gun, and he can choose to use that gun whenever he wants to. If he shoots a Mafia, it is revealed who he is. It shows we'll say Pi is Slippy. Slippy shot X who was Mafia. Slippy is revealed to be suspect mine. He'll get another gun the next night if he survives. If he misses and shoots Town, he dies along with it. And this is a role that's super snowbally. It's, again, one of those power rolls that you get and you're like, oh, awesome, I got a sick roll. I got to use it. I got to use it. This is the best way to use it. But a lot of times, and this is what we're going to get to when it comes to power rolls, the power is not in your actual usage of the power. It's the fear of your use. I think a famous man once said, walk quietly and carry a big stick. Your big stick can be a lot scarier than you actually using the big stick. Again, we'll get into that in the video. But again, don't feel like if you get a power roll that you have to just, wield it like a huge sword. Obviously, if you're a cop, you want to use it every night. That's a roll that you can use but if you get a one-time usage like a governor or oracle or suspect mine, you want to be very careful when you use it, and you want to use it wisely. Because you only get one shot. Don't miss your chance. So, all right, so I talked a little bit about what is power roll, and I've talked a little bit about common power rolls, some summaries, and some things that we use. You've also got, again, just a quick summary of some of the common Mafia power rolls. Godfather shows up blue and copper ports, very important. Hooker can block a night roll, so Hooker can be on the cop. Cop can't use his power, or he'll just get hooked. He'll check somebody, but he won't find out who it is. Freezer can, during the day, freeze a vote. Very, very, very strong roll. Marksman can use his gun during the day to shoot somebody and frame somebody. A lot of good stuff there. Again, I want to focus more on the Town side of power rules because I think Town, there's a tendency to not play it correctly. Not to say that it doesn't happen on Mafia. I've seen enough bad Mafia plays in my life on power rules side. But Town, I think it becomes way more important that power rules need to use their power correctly. So let's get to it right away here on point number 3, after we've covered the first 2 points, and the art of the claim. This is important, okay? This is probably one of the most important things about the power roll. Besides the fact that you have a power, knowing when to claim is so important. It can lead to so many good things for Town, and it can lead to so many bad things for Town. For example, if you get a power roll, your first thought should be, I am not going to die, or I'm not going to get lynched without at least letting people know, hey, I'm this role, okay? This is one of the most important things that you have to understand. If you get a power roll, you do not want to get lynched with this roll. Very, 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 very few times is it going to be more beneficial for you as a power roll to get lynched than to at least fight it off and get somebody to what I will call counterclaim, often referred to as CC, okay? I've seen so many times new players, they get nervous, they don't know, they have a roll, and they never claim the roll, and they end up getting mislynched, and then the next day Town is like, what's going on? I can't believe this person didn't claim it's their own vault. And in fact, this video that we're going to be checking out, or it is video, this portion of this game that we're going to be checking out, someone did not claim and they ended up getting mislynched. So again, number 1, if you get a power roll, you need to at least attempt to claim that roll. If it's a bad one, so be it. But in the very least, you're getting information out to Town that, hey, I'm a good guy. Don't lynch me here, all right? So number 1, get a PR, be ready to claim. Now, when do you claim? How do you claim? And how do you fight off a counterclaim? From Town, as crazy as that sounds, and Mafia. So let's talk about when to claim. First off, if you're about to get lynched, good time to claim. And now when I say when you're about to get lynched, I do not mean 30 seconds before the vote is about to end. If you start to see momentum, let's say you're a couple minutes in the day and you got 5 or 6 votes, right? And people are really starting to push you. I would start with a soft, maybe, it depends on what you are, right? Okay, so actually this is a little sidetrack here. The type of power roll is really important to how you claim it. If you're a stronger role like Cop or Bodyguard, I kind of put Cop and Bodyguard as kind of the 2 premier, Cop and Doctor, whatever role you play, whatever type of style you use, as kind of the premier power roles. These are ones that you want to stay hidden for as much as you can, right? You being alive is really helpful to town. Cop getting blue and red reports can be huge. All right, so let's say you're getting pushed kind of early on day 1. And you're one of these 2 roles. It's okay to say, hey guys, I'm a PR. Stop pushing. All right? Typically, those are the 2 I would argue. It's not worth it. Just say, you can be, or I should say, it is worth it to be a little bit more secretive. Just say I'm a PR. People will leave you alone. If you're Cop, you're probably going to get hooked. If you're Bodyguard, you're probably going to get hooked or potentially killed. But in the very least, putting it out there, hey, you know, I'm something important, and not just saying, hey, I'm Cop, would be good. Now, if you're any of these other roles, like Drunk, or Governor, or Oracle, or even Suspect Mind, I would argue if you're getting pushed early on day 1 with 5 or 6 votes, and there's like 3 minutes left, just say, hey, I'm Drunk, and then be ready to defend yourself. And one of the most important things you can do to defend yourself, if you are roles, especially with roles with night usage, for example, Cop checks somebody every night. Drunk checks somebody every night. Bodyguard checks something every night. Have notes. Notes are good. And make them clean and easy to understand. And also maybe kind of throw in a little spice in there just to kind of show that this is, you're taking a lot of time and effort to go into these notes. And this is not just, hey, I just came up with these 5 seconds ago. I'm totally legit. The easier your notes are to understand for town, the better. I've seen so many games where, maybe the notes look like this. Night 1, you had, let's see, Fox was blue. Night 2, Falco was blue. Night 3, you had Slippy. And he was red, but you forgot to put that he was red. Right? And you copy and pasted it like this. And people are like, what? Where's your thing? Where's your report? Or maybe you forgot one and it's night 4. Like it's day 4 now and you forgot one, right? You had Slippy red and you forgot to add the 4th one that you checked. People are going to immediately say, where's the 4th check? So if you can make it clear, concise, easy to understand, that's going to go a long way for people to actually believe you. So again, if you are these kind of, if you're in a night visiting role, have notes. Notes are incredibly important, and it's going to help differentiate yourself from actual Mafia. And you're wondering, well, Pie, if I have notes, why would anybody not believe me? Because those cheeky Mafia, they want to mislynch you. This is something that I'm happy to see Mafia are doing a lot more, is we're seeing a lot of Mafia fake claim. And the timing of the claims is all across the board. You'll see Mafia, they're getting pushed on day 1, and they'll say something like, I'm PR. Again, doing something very similar to what I mentioned that some of the stronger PR should be doing. And it just gets suspicion off their back for a little bit, right? Or there'll be a few Mafia players that are designated fake claimers. So where you come in with this report, right? This weak one right here. Oops. I'm going to post it again. And someone immediately comes in with a different report with different reds on it. Now town isn't sure. Is this person blue? Which one is the real Cop, right? Something that I like to do, if you're especially just kind of around like PRs like Cop, is have your main notes here, but then have thought process as to why you check these people. Like, I checked Slippy You know, I checked Slippy on night 3 after he started going on about information he shouldn't have had. And now it puts a little bit more credence to what you have to say. So again, in those situations, write your notes down, have these things ready to go. But like I said before, I kind of went on a tangent. If you're in a situation like the governor or maybe the Oracle, and you're getting pushed early, just say, hey, I'm Oracle. And if Mafia CCs you, especially at some of these lower level PRs, that's fantastic. Getting a CC on Oracle is like fantastic news. Because, again, you are a lower tier PR. And this is something that I kind of want to spend a little bit of time on when it comes to power rules. Even with Cop, even with Bodyguard, I think people, when they see power roll, they think, I have to survive, I have to live, I have to do what I need to do to help town win. And you're right. As a power roll, you have an extra ability to help you win. But you are not the most important thing in order for town to win. And so, if you get CC'd, you should be ecstatic. And if you get CC'd, you also need to be able to defend yourself and look good. Something I've talked about in previous videos is that PRs have a little bit more of a get out of jail free card in kind of playing scummy to get information, right? I've said you can play scummy, get Mafia to try to get on you, and then be like, haha, Mafia, I'm PR. There's nothing you can do about it. Well, if you're playing really scummy and you get CC'd, there's a decent chance a lot of town is not going to believe you, especially if the person that CCs you as Mafia is playing a lot more blue than you. So you have to be careful about that. In fact, in the game that I'm going to show you guys after I go over these different points, that situation actually happens, and it ends up in a mislynch for town. So just be mindful is, yes, you can play scummy, but don't play so bad that literally everyone thinks that you're lying. Because a good Mafia player is going to be able to capitalize that and take you out. So again, the art of the claim, play it by ear. If at all possible, if you think that you should out, if you're feeling like you could potentially get lynched, just out. Just do it. It'll give town another trusted voice. It'll also give potentially Bodyguard an opportunity to protect you. Now, there are a few plays, and this is something I kind of want to talk about, is outing early can be a huge benefit to town, right? One that I think would be fantastic is Bulletproof. Bulletproof takes 2 shots to kill. So if you're really strong in your reads and you say, day one, hey, Bulletproof here, and you don't get CC'd, and you say, I'm just going to take control of this game, and your reads are good, Mafia is going to have a really hard time killing you, right? It's going to be really, really, really tricky. Now, not only, let's say Bodyguard is on Bulletproof, so you have a bunch of protection to just get sick reads and just kind of take over the game. Another situation where it's not terrible to claim is Oracle. In fact, in this game that we're going to be looking over, the Oracle hard claims day one, kind of like I talk about with Bulletproof. And they lead town for good and for bad. The Oracle makes some interesting plays. But again, the biggest thing is you are a confirmed voice in town people can at least trust. And maybe your reads aren't perfect, but you being out there as a confirmed town can be really beneficial, especially if Mafia tries to manipulate you. You're going to have people that are going to try to, on the Mafia side, try to buddy up with you, or called pocketing is the phrase we use. Where basically they're trying to be like, yeah, you should, they'll praise all your decisions, and they'll never give you crap for your mistakes. So, very important, again, claiming early. Something I do want to bring up when it comes to dealing with fake claims from Mafia, right? Sometimes the Mafia will get the jump and claim first. And I've seen many a game where the PR did not counterclaim immediately and waited to the last moment and then claimed, and nobody believed them. Something that I want to kind of bring up is you should never, if someone claims, I think it's okay to wait a day just to kind of see how it works out. It just depends, right? but you should never be counterclaiming a fake report, a fake claim on Milo or Lilo. And we've talked about it in a different video. That's when if town makes a mistake on that day in lynching, they lose. Because it just looks really scummy. And honestly, the rest of town needs to see that you're legit and know that that guy is scum. The longer you wait for a guy who like that to just kind of coast, and the worse it can be. So again, just be careful. I'm okay with waiting on CCs just to kind of see how it plays out, to see how he works. Because if you know the dude's lying, right, and you can kind of just hold it, it's going to help you a lot more in putting the pieces together. Who is he, connected to? And something just in general, I think this is kind of a rule for a role like bodyguard or doctor, a role that doesn't have protection for themselves. They are the protectors of town. I would suggest, I don't want to say never CCing, because that's not, I don't want to say it. There's certain situations where like the dude is bad, you got to CC. But I would almost make it a habit of not counterclaiming bodyguard claims. If the person claims bodyguard, that puts a huge target on their back, because one, bodyguard has no protection. So if the bodyguard claim is living for a long time, that should be pretty suspicious to town. Town should be able to pick up on, that guy didn't die. Why is he still alive? So bodyguard, again, just be sneaky. You got to be careful with how you react, or Mafia will see that, because they want to take the bodyguard out. That's a huge role. It can protect the cop. It can protect a really strong town leader. So don't immediately CC if you're bodyguard. Play it by ear. If things are getting out of hand, and again, that person's kind of taking over leadership roles, then maybe you can kind of step in and stop it. But again, the longer you wait, the less believable it's going to be. Also, something to think about when it comes to counterclaiming fake claims for Mafia. Let's say you die as bodyguard. That's going to put immediate susp on that person the moment you die. That's literally counterclaiming right there. Again, you can kind of hide in the shadows and protect. So let's talk about point 5. Because this is something, at least in the meta that we play on my stream, that happens all the time. There are certain people that love to fake claim, for better or for worse. And I think a fake claim from town can be fantastic. I think it's great at confusing Mafia. It can be great at confusing like the marksman if they're trying to find out who the cop is. So I'm never going to say don't fake claim. I think fake claiming has a great part of the meta. I fake claim a ton on day one with cop reads just to get pushes on day one, which is essentially a random lynch, just to get information going. And it can work out a lot. But you need to know when to take back the fake claim. And I will not name the person, but there is I think a running joke, but I think it has been adopted as an actual way to play of never retracting. And never retracting usually ends up with more pain than happiness. Comes a point as a townsperson where you do not want to confuse town too much. And you want to build trust with your fellow townspeople, right? And if you are not retracting a fake claim that is obviously wrong, it's going to get you in trouble, especially if you're just a blue villager. If you're a PR and you've got like a backup like governor, go for it. But if you're just a blue villager and you have no get out of jail free card, you need to be able to be like, hey guys, this was my thought process in claiming it. This is my thought process in claiming it. Here's why I did it. I'm sorry, I'm taking it back. Very, very important. And if you're on the other side of it, let's say somebody is fake claiming cop, right? Day one, day two, just let it happen. Just see where it goes. Again, it's one of those situations where I played a game recently where I was bodyguard. And the governor fake claimed bodyguard. And I tried to fight against it day two with some kind of my own fake claim stuff. And it just was a disaster. It's better, I think, in those situations, again, if you think it's a townsperson, if they're hard claiming it gets a little bit weirder, but just kind of let it play out after a few days. A lot of times those situations will work themselves out. And again, a lot of times too, a town tries to fake claim bodyguard to bait the mafia, especially when they're ceasing. So here's a great example of when to just shut up and let it happen. All right, so you're playing Mafia, and some dude claims bodyguard in the middle of, like he's getting a ton of pressure on him, and he looks really scummy. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, someone else claims bodyguard to get the dude lynched, and the dude let that happen, because what that dude is probably trying to do is get the lynch on the Mafia and then have you protect that person, and it could be a 2-for-1. They think that person's bodyguard, you protect it, bam, they're dead. So again, it's one of those situations. Sometimes let it play out. If someone's claiming like drunk and you are the drunk, chances are it's probably Mafia trying to get a quick 1-for-1 trade. So keep that in mind. And then just kind of when it comes to miscellaneous stuff, like I said, with suspect mind, and you'll see that in this video that we're going to take a look at. Your power and not using your power can go a huge way into actually getting more Mafia than just using your power would normally. And with that, let's jump into the game. Again, I have this broken down in a couple of screenshots. Fortunately, the games do not save after X amount of time, and I wasn't able to get into it because I was still streaming. So screenshots and video are what we're going to use today. And let's just close this up, and we're going to bring in our first picture here. And we'll give you a little background on this game. We're using the Star Fox deck. I have rolled Suspect Mind, and I am Rob. Okay? Now, Suspect Mind has been a role that is it's a lightning rod. People tend to get it. Again, as I explained before, you get a gun, you shoot somebody if they're Mafia, you get another gun. If you are wrong, you die. So very high risk, high reward kind of thing. A lot of people get it and think, I got a gun. I got to shoot this. I got to use this gun. I've played games where I've never shot my gun before and town won. I played games where I got 3 kills with it and town lost. I've gotten games where we played 1 or 2 kills and we won. It's going to vary game to game. But if there's one thing I want you to know about this role that I think is super important 95% of the time, if you are Suspect Mind and you're going to shoot somebody, announce the shot. The way the role works, if you shoot somebody, you are getting revealed no matter what. If you shoot a Mafia, you're getting revealed. If you're shooting a town, you're getting revealed. So the least you can do is reveal, hey, this person, I want to shoot you. You PR? Put some pressure on. Now you're thinking to yourself, but if I do that, Pie, I'm going to get shot by marksmen or killed by Mafia. That is okay. This is what I was talking about a little bit earlier when I said PRs are not as strong as you think they are. There are certain PRs, like I said, cops and bodyguards. If you as a Suspect Mind, cop and bodyguard are still up and hidden, and marksman feels threatened enough to take you out, that is a huge win for town. Because cop and bodyguard can just swing games. Just like Suspect Mind can. Cop and bodyguard can swing games in a huge amount. And by at least asking the person, hey, are you a PR? 1, you're pressuring them to get some response and see how they respond. 2, you're not going to accidentally shoot the cop as a Suspect Mind. I've done it before. Others have done it before. And there's been so many cases where like town was getting momentum and then Suspect Mind just blasted for no reason somebody who they could not get off the tunnel. And then people freaked out and it led to another mislynch. So you got to be mindful of that. Also, be understanding that you should not be shooting this thing at the end of the day and causing a stir, especially if it's going to be shooting somebody that's going to get lynched and you're wrong. And town panics and feels like they need to do another lynch and then they're wrong again. It's just one of those things. If you get a gun like this, just announce you're going to do. So jumping into this game, you'll see here again, I am Rob. And right at the top you say, I'm announcing my shot as Suspect Mind. And basically what happened was there was somebody, this Peppy, who looked incredibly scummy to me. Very, very scummy. They were playing very, very red. And I have in my notes, you'll see here, Peppy is scum. I had determined in my mind that Peppy was scum. If I had just shot off of my hot day 2-1 read, me and Peppy would both be dead and town probably loses this game. But what do I do instead? So I say I'm announcing my shot and I say who I'm going to shoot. I say I'm going to shoot Peppy. At this point, I had no intention of shooting Peppy. I still didn't like it. I still thought the dude was scum, right? But I wanted to see what I could do with the reactions of saying, I'm going to shoot Peppy. And again, worst case scenario, marksman shoots me, I'm big chillin'. Cop has a better chance of not dying. So I say, I'm going to shoot Peppy. Now remember, this is something that you have to understand. It goes back to the basics of Mafia. The only ones that know what Peppy's alignment is Peppy himself and Mafia. Keep that in mind. I don't know what Peppy is. I think he's scum, but I don't know. I'm wrong. And Cop, if he checks him. But even then, Godfather could be up, right? So when I say this, Mafia, if I get some weird reactions from people that seem like they know too much information, that's huge. So like I said, I say I'm announcing my shot as suspect mine. And look what happens. Again, I don't have a pointer here, unfortunately, because it's a picture. But you'll notice... Actually, you know what? I probably could... Hold on a second, everybody. Yo, technology. See if we can do this here. As you can see, I put a lot of planning into these. But in all honesty, I have a game plan for these videos, and then, sometimes you just gotta go with the flow. Alright, so this is perfect. So I'm gonna minimize this real quick. Get some John Madden action on here going for you, everybody. So just bring this up in Paint. And I can show you what I want to point out. All right, so first off, all right, so I say I'm announcing my suspect mine that I'm shooting. I get responses from a lot of people. Wolf is one of them. Let's draw a line from Wolf. He says, Peppy doesn't read as scum to me, but it's your shot. Yeah, please don't. By Falco. SM shouldn't be shooting if they aren't sure who is red. And this is one of my favorites right here. Back to back, Falco says, Peppy seems fine to me. Peppy had been acting scum the entire game, by the way. Like, Peppy did not seem fine at all. So that was really off. General Scale says, I don't think shooting is the play, my guy. LOL. Like, this one right here, dude. I don't know I forget who this person was. But my guy, LOL, just comes across as, dude, this is really a bad idea, man. Don't do it. Like, he's totally scum. And then Krazoa comes in and says, we just bagged a red. Never shot my gun. Never fired. But look at all of these reactions we got from people that should not have information. They're coming across like, this doesn't seem right. So it turns out of Wolf, Falco, Krazoa, and General Scales, and there was a couple of reactions. Crystal says, you don't need to shoot day 3. God damn it, I'll like that one as well. Falco was scum. Krazoa was scum and ended up getting lynched that day. General Scales was scum. The game goes on. Falco has a major slip. Like, huge slip. He says, the vote was frozen yesterday on the Hooker Day. And Falco had not voted yet. So there was no way he should have known that information. I shoot him, right? And then I immediately go back to this day and I start pushing on General Scales. And after this quote, I said, this quote really sucks. His defense starts falling apart. And then I'm like, I'm shooting this guy tomorrow, and immediately I get shot. Immediately I get shot. Turns out the marksman was trying to frame General Scales, but General Scales was red anyway, so it didn't matter. And then Krazoa got tagged on that day. Never fired my gun one time, just mentioned, hey, I think this person is red, I want to shoot you. And I got great information. Mafia slipped. Mafia made mistakes. I forced them to make a mistake to try to salvage that situation. If Mafia would have just shut up, dude, maybe I go on Wolf. Maybe I go on Crystal. Crystal actually looked really scummy the majority of this game until the end. But, you know, it worked out. It's one of those situations, again. Mafia has all the information. And this, to me, especially this one, when Pepe looked really, really, really scummy in my eyes, it set me off, and I was able to push that, was able to go after that. General Scales ended up getting lynched. He fake claimed a role. The funniest part about this is that he fake claimed a role, and then his own Mafia CC'd him, which backfired so hard. So I kind of want to talk about this. I don't have a picture for this one, but I want to talk about the scenario. This is a scenario where shutting up and not claiming is a great time. So in this game, I push Scales, I get shot. He ends up claiming bodyguard. He gets CC'd by Dash, and then as bodyguard as well. And then they lynch the bodyguard. They lynch the fake claim, and then the next day Dash doesn't die, and people start scratching their heads like, what the heck is going on? The real bodyguard, and they're in, I think they had the game, it was basically Otto at this point, comes out and says, hey, I'm actually bodyguard. This dude's a joke. And they were able to get the win in that situation because the bodyguard was smart and just kind of let it play out. He was patient. He didn't worry about it. He just decided that it was better for town for him just to keep that to himself. And I think bodyguard's one of those roles you really can just hold on to it. Just never wait till you're in Milo. They had a mislynch to use, when he claimed bodyguard. So it was a good time to claim it. He did a really good job of holding it. Big fan of that. So, so again, situation here. I never shot my gun, and we were able to just get a ton of information and do really well on. Next, I want to talk about a situation. I have a video where the drunk did not claim. And watch what happens here. Now, a part of it's not really their fault. But it was one of those situations where they were actually going to vote Scales. And then on the last second, they thought Cat was more scum. Okay, so watch how it happens here. So you'll notice Cat doesn't have that many votes. They're in limited, right? And the votes start piling up for Cat right here. She got votes maybe 30 seconds before limited hit. So she's stuck. She is absolutely stuck. And everyone's freaking out. Cat's AFK, OMG. She is not saying anything. I can't defend myself here. It's a mislynch. Doesn't ever mention that she's drunk. And town is going to be pissed. Again, look at what all these things are happening. Major doubt. And she does one thing really well, and she throws her 3 suspicions out. Two of the three which end up being Mafia. So very good job by Cat here. I think honestly at this point you're dead. I think you saying you're drunk is probably going to be worse for town, or just going to piss them off. But it pops up that she's the drunk. And this is partially her fault but also kind of town's fault. So again, in this situation, she waited first of all, she never said she was drunk. But town pushed on her within like a few seconds. They swapped targets really, 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 really quickly late at the end of the day, which I think is usually kind of bad. Because again, there's just so much confusion going on. Town, sometimes in certain situations, if you don't feel confident and you have a no-lynch to use a no-lynch. But again, if she was a little bit more attentive and saw that momentum was kind of shifting off of Scales and was more pointing towards her, she could have said, hey, let's not even go down this road. I am drunk. And it probably would have shifted back to Scales. It would have saved Mafia and Miss Lynch, and the game could have been going in a much better direction a lot earlier. So again, one of those situations where, again, just be ready. Be mindful. If you're about to get thrown into the dumpster by a town and you're a power roll, be ready to claim it. So we have that situation. And then I want to open up another situation, and this is where I'm going to give some kudos to Mafia here. All right, so we have another situation where we have the governor is claiming very late into the game. We're on day 7. Governor used his power, I want to say 3 or 4 days earlier, and was wrong on a read. He went on a hard read that he didn't like. But he's Death Shark. Okay, now if you notice, I don't know if I had it in my notes. No. But I did not like Death Shark in this game. He played pretty poorly, and he was pushing on a lot of things. He was pushing against a guy who was pushing the Godfather before, and he also said some really weird statements about who he thought Bodyguard was on. The Mafia Bodyguard actually got a protection. Bodyguard played just a fantastic game, this game. He got a protection, and he survived to the end and got a really good CC at the end. But he made a comment of, like, I think BG was on this person, who was me, as a suspect mine, which I didn't like at all. It just seemed like he was pocketing me and trying to get my reads as if my reads were good, right? Turns out he just had similar reads as me. But he made that statement earlier, and he had just been played a really poor game, and a lot of people in town thought he was scum. You'll notice Peppy and Andrew were voting him here. Both of those were town. I thought he was scum, and a lot of people... let me see here. I don't know if it's shown in this picture, but basically everybody thought the dude was scum. As the game was going, I'm out of it. I was like, dude, Death Shark's scum. No worries. So he says, time to game. Let me make this red. I'm Gov. Get on lamers. Honestly, this looks pretty authentic if you think about it, but he had played so poorly at this point, it's like, okay, bud. Okay, you know, all right, well, you know, he's a scummy guy, but at least he's not going to get CC'd. This is where Mafia plays a fantastic job. Now, Mafia is down a lot in this game. Marksman has already fired their shot. They shot me. Good shot, in my opinion. And immediately comes in with wrong CC. Okay? Grippy had played a relatively blue game. He had built up town cred. He looked more legitimate. And this is where I started to have my doubts, but I thought it was well done in the grand scheme of things. He broke down, and this is where you got to start thinking about how hard are people playing. He had notes where he explained why he overruled to Fox, right? He said OT to Fox because he was being ultra flip-floppy with his Benjamin push and going back on it, then begged for an OT onto Rob, and this was after James died when he spent day 1 memeing Fox. And then after this, you can't see it, but he goes, I've been waiting for this moment. Again, and Town just eats it up. Town just is like, wow, this Grippy, again, Death Shark was playing a lot more red in this situation. Grippy was playing a lot more blue, and this is what I mentioned earlier in the video. It can bite you in the butt. Now, as the day goes on, I'm starting to think, who goes out of their way to have this written up on a misplay? In this situation, when we went back and checked the logs on some of the things that Grippy and Death Shark were doing, Death Shark's the day that the overturn happened is in a situation where you get a governor counterclaim, you should immediately go back to that day and see how both of those interacted on the OT. And it made more sense that Death Shark was the gov. But this paragraph was so well put together, and his defense was so good. By the end of the day, the only one... Now, Slippy, who is the Oracle in this situation, they hard claimed Oracle and were leading town, for better or for good. Actually, was the only one to not believe it, but he could not get them to swap off. he could not convince Town to do it, and it ended up being in a mislynch and a good trade. Marksman had already if a Marksman can get a shot off on a good PR or a good Town lead and also get a trade off 1-1 where he gets someone to be mislynched, that's a good day. That's a good 8 hours of work there for the Marksman. So great job here by the Marksman. He had already used his power, but he was using his power of counterclaiming here to trick Town and get them in trouble. One last thing that I want to bring up here when it comes to this specific game. Town ended up winning, and again, a lot of it came down to just how the PRs were used by both Town and Mafia. I think Town did again. Bodyguard was probably the MVP of this game. He did a fantastic job of waiting, holding out, and allowing Mafia to kind of slip over themselves. So the last thing I wanted... Oh, no. This wasn't up here at all. All right, well, hold on a second, everybody. I just got so into this video that I didn't even show you guys my paint. Right here. Okay. So take 2 in this. I gave great commentary. Just take all the commentary that I just said about this and Death Shark, time to go. Grippy says wrong CC. Sick paragraph by Grippy here to explain it. Expert YouTube video artist Iateyourpie who shoots these in one shot. Bam. Mafia. Town doesn't believe it. Eat poop. Death Shark. Good job, Grippy Marksman, for fake claiming. I know. Fantastic. Oh well. That's what you get from me. The last thing I want to bring up and see if I can bring it, find it in this video. Let me see if I can find it here. Hold on. Hold, please. And this is something that I think is incredibly important. Okay. I'm going to actually just take a picture of this. And just kind of throw it on here. And a lot of these VODs are just my train of thought, and I just want to go over ideas. But I want to go over this quote in particular, and I want to explain my thought process behind it. So remember what I had talked about, that there were 2 BG claims, both of them ended up being Mafia. Well, it turns out the one that had counterclaimed the first Mafia said this at the end of the day. And this is just a huge slip. And this is, in general, when you're a PR, you need to be confident that you are this role. Like, if you claim it, or if you are it, just be confident. Don't have doubt. And if you're Mafia, do the same thing. Dash says, I'm like really convinced Scales is red here. He was CCing Scales, who was Bodyguard, right? And he was claiming the Bodyguard. This looks like you shouldn't be really convinced. You should be 100% sure and like, this dude's scum. This guy is lying. I'm the person. I'm the Bodyguard. And this quote had it, I mean, thankfully the actual BG, outed that day. But this quote really sunk him. If this was a quote, if let's say Dash was actually counterclaiming the real BG in this situation, this quote would sink him so fast. Because again, I'm like really convinced, like I'm totally sure, I think, that dude's scum, right? So again, when you're PR, you have to have confidence. If you don't have confidence in yourself of getting the lynch or that you are the role, it's going to send shockwaves through town. And also, you could just get mislynched because you don't have the confidence of it. So again, don't be afraid of the power roll, but don't overuse it. Again, this video I think is going to help go a long way in helping players be a little bit more confident in PRs. Don't, just to summarize things, when you get a power roll, don't try to overthink it. Don't try to overdo it, especially if you're very new to the role. I know a lot of times you see big plays by some players like Aobro or Zenogre or Alan M or Soloman. A lot of these guys have confidence in their plays. And sometimes their plays backfire and sometimes they work. And you kind of have to find your own style, right? This video is not to be like, this is how you need to play power roles. But it's a good guideline. As you play more of the roles and get used to it, you'll find that happy medium. Just again, the most important thing is if you roll power role, don't die with that information, keeping it to yourself. Out when you think the time is right and practice outing in that situation, and you're going to get better at it a lot. And thank you guys for watching this video. I'm really happy I finally was able to put this together. Power rolls are awesome. If you liked the video, make sure we've been streaming a ton of Mafia content on my channel. I don't think it's going to stop for a while. Go check out my channel at twitch.tv/Iateyourpie. We play at Mafia.gg, a fantastic website and probably the best site to play online Mafia, in my opinion. And if you're really, cool, you can follow me on my socials below me. All right. Thanks again, everybody. Till the next video. See you later. Mafia rules.